have to think about that. The kids would love that too. You know, just I know the kids, this group that came in last September.
How, what do you think, um, how do you think that non-Indians think about the reservation?
I don't think they have a clue. I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not sure where the thinking goes. I think there's a lot of paternal big brother thinking. I think that's very much alive. I think a lot of it's left over. But I think it also, it needs to be within individuals or group of individuals because they don't know. And so when you don't know about something, then it requires more control.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so if if you knew, then you'd be able to let go and you would be on an equal basis.
Yeah.
Just things that you would ask, where do you live? What do you eat? Where do you go to church?
Okay.
All of those things
Yeah.
that people always ask right away, And I think, yeah, those are, because, one, you can respond by laughing and saying, well, we live like you do and eat like you do and da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
But on the other hand, there are differences and there are mores, like there are in any community, and there are changes. So really, communities aren't that different, but there are differences. I know a lot of times when I asked to speak to some groups or something, and I can remember one specific instance, and it was a men's group. I don't know if it was Rotary or what it was, Lions, something. And so a man stood up and he said, well, how come when I come through the reservation that I will see this really fancy house and then next to it is a shack? And I said, well, sir, how come when I go down this street in your town, I see a really fancy house and then I see a shack?
Yeah, like
and
truly
he said,
what is the difference?
oh, and that had not clicked. He had seen that on the reservation, but he hadn't seen it in his own town. And so I think that just is across the board. And there. And there are differences, but on the other hand, we're not really that different. And our differences, well, let's say with food or with housing, with clothing, really have more of a geographical reasoning to it. And then that has to play with the culture, any culture. So, yeah, maybe I eat this, but it's because, yeah, there's wild rice here, and there's blueberries, and there's fish. And so, yes, the native population is going to eat it, but so would anyone who lived here, because that would be what was here.
Yeah.
And so people can say, yes, it's cultural, yes, it's native, but yes, it's here, it's geographical. And then we have reasons for it. For instance, the wild rice, the monoman. The stories are that when the people came here from the east, that it was prophesized and was promised to them that there would be a grain here that would sustain them for life. And when they got here, they found the wild rice. So there are stories that go with the foods or the environment. But there are with any culture, with any group on any continent, we can find the same types of stories and the same type of reasoning.
So some part of that then really is just really elemental education to white, well, not just white people, but people that are not Indian, of just explaining, having to go back to the basics.
Right.
Because there's really a whole, as you said, they don't know, they don't have a clue. And so on some levels, like, you have to give them the clue.
Right.
Okay.
And all of it is just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it from those elementary needs.
Mm-hmm.
And there are your answers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can attach it to the people who live there. So, for instance, all over this continent, years before the white man came, people went on salt pilgrimages to gather salt. You have the Salinas ruins in New Mexico. But in this part of the world, there weren't salt pilgrimages because you had, you went to the sugar bush and you had the maple syrup. And that syrup then boiled down to sugar was what was used. Okay, we're in the north, you need the carbohydrates. All you gotta do is really think about it. So you don't go after the salt, you go after the sugar, or that which is going to sustain you better in a northern climate and which is available for you. So.
Well, you brought up something that I'm always really curious about, and I guess this is really why I want to ask you about. I'm always surprised how in one state we can have a whole group of people, like not all, obviously not all Indians on a reservation, but a large population is on a reservation. We have one group of people that are living economically, a lot of it at poverty levels, or could be much better levels, education at a certain level. So we have one group of people in the midst of this, and people that are not Indian could be living right next to them. I mean, in some cases a half hour away, some cases, longer than that. Be living like that, and nothing is being done. No one's saying anything. No one's kind of addressing this. And I'm curious if you think, is it because of that thing that people just don't have a clue, as you said before? Like, there is that part of it perhaps is because people worked really hard to make sure that we have no knowledge of Indians.
I think part of that, of noticing something that is right there in front of you, is that thing that we often don't see that which is right in front of us. Or on that same line, if we are in a situation that is tragic, if you're a part of that situation, it's easier sometimes than it is to those who aren't. I lost a home in a tornado. While I was right there in the middle of it, taking care of everything, it probably wasn't as bad as it was for those looking in.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes when you're right there, whether it's a need or I just don't think, you just don't see some of the things. We will say with children that we raise, oh, I didn't realize that she was needing glasses. But realize they're right there. So I think sometimes the most obvious, what's right in front of us, we don't. And then sometimes just for our own survival, we can't.
So for our
own survival, we leave it alone because it'd be too painful. We couldn't handle it, or maybe we can't handle it. Maybe we can't. We've got it. We can take care of this, and this is what we need to take care of, and we can't go beyond. And maybe we haven't been taught that. So I think there's all kinds of reasons. I don't think there's one absolute reason for that. I think it's a lot of that old adage that what's right in front of your face you often don't see.
To help others, and also that first question with that is, does there seem to be any connection between if we do well for Indians that are up here in, at the reservation, how that ends up helping us, people that are in the cities, people that are in greater Minnesota, that helps us at all? Is there any connection between those two things? If we help them, do we help ourselves?
Well, absolutely. First, you're going to help yourself individually, because anytime you do something for someone else, you have taken care of yourself in many ways. And and then it goes out because it's a ripple effect. So it's going to help in your immediate family. It's going to help with your friends. It's going to go into a larger community of whatever service organizations you might be connected with, your church, school. There will just be a ripple effect. The minute you help anyone else, whether it be a group of people on a reservation or any type of an area, you could go into a prison and help someone, and you're still going to go back, and that same ripple effect is going to happen. So it can't help but happen. And it's Christian, yes, but it's also many other things. It doesn't just belong to Christianity.
To the Christian church.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Okay. But going back to that original thing I asked you, I mean, if by being able to give, if we were able to give, then not only do we help the people who are giving, we help ourselves. Would that be some way of dealing perhaps with the thing that's right in front of us? Would that be one way of kind of being able to deal with the painful part of it by being able to give?
I think so. I just wonder how many people actually catch on to that, or if that's something that has to be educated. It requires education. Yeah, I think a lot of people just, they don't catch on to that right away. No, they're tough.
Yeah.
They're tough questions, and they're tough answers.
Yeah, yes.
There's just no one absolute answer. I think a lot of it is thinking outside of the box and letting go, being one with, being in balance.
Because at present we're not there yet.
I don't think so.
Not in balance.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But some of these things would help to get to balance.
Exactly. Just opening up.
Yeah.
And that it's two-way.
Yes.
I always ask my children, my own children and grandchildren, now my great-grandchildren, when you come home from school, what did you teach today? Not what did you learn today? What did you teach today? It's two-way. It's back and forth. Did you share something you knew with the others? Or did you just sit there, take it all in? Was it one way? And so because I think we have to teach, from the beginning, that it goes both ways. And then once that whole philosophy or theory is established, then I think a child will grow with that and know that, and then they are more in balance.
That is great. That is. That is.
So ask those boys, what did you teach today?
I'm gonna throw that on them. I'm gonna throw that on them and be like, huh?
Yeah,
What? What do you mean?
Yeah. What'd you think? You just thought you were going to go there and they were going to give it all to you? It doesn't work that way. It's a back and forth thing. If we're really going to all learn, then it's a back and forth thing. And we don't wait until they're out of college to catch on to that. We need to kindergarten. What'd you teach them today?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's great. That's perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah,
Big
well,
witch.